Hello, listeners. This is Andy's Philosophy Corner, brought to you by the Steel Plaza Podcast. This is installment 22. I hope you're ready. This podcast, we will focus on the United States government and its recent release of their UFO report, which some have been following, some have not. But here at Andy's Philosophy Corner, what we'd like to do is shoot everything through a few of the primary prisms of philosophy, that being epistemology, ethics, logic, and metaphysics. I am your Chief Philosophical Officer, Andy, and I would like to take an additional moment to point out the fantastic relationship that we have with the Steel Plaza Podcast amongst all of the lengthy contracts and heated negotiations. I'm glad that we were able to continue in our current form. Please be sure to check out the Darkest Corners of the World music podcast on the Steel Plaza Podcast. Music you have never heard before. Think of that. All music was new music to you at some point. Be it Bach or Mozart or Van Halen or ZZ Top, anything at all. But consider that every band is a local band somewhere. And you may show your appreciation and demonstrate support by going to PayPal. Just type in at Steel Plaza Podcast at PayPal. Steel Plaza Podcast. We've recently terminated our relationship with a competing site to PayPal called PayUpPal. You know, it was a little more heavy-handed, and it just wasn't working for us. It wasn't working. So instead of PayUpPal, please start using PayPal. Thank you. As usual, I like to address the internet and the information age that we are living in as we try to look at the information age through a philosophical spectrum. Please consider how you are using the internet. Be sophisticated. It's the information age. You need to bring yourself up to speed if you aren't already. No one is born knowing any of this stuff. But when it comes to things like email and chat and text and browsers and search engines, please keep in mind that your information is very, very valuable. Personally, I like the streaming sites of Odyssey, and I like Rumble, and I like Foxhole. And you will find, if you go to Odyssey and Foxhole and Rumble, I promise you will find content that you will not find anywhere else. That's a promise from Andy's Philosophy Corner. As far as email goes, I suggest using a blockchain-based technology. Proton Mail is very popular, based out of Switzerland, which has the most secure internet privacy laws in the world, unless I'm mistaken. I'm not a lawyer. This isn't Andy's Lawyer Corner. It's Andy's Philosophy Corner. I also suggest using a virtual private network for about $100 a year. There's any number of decent suppliers that will protect 3, 4, 5 devices on an annual basis. It's very, very cheap. You can also use a VPN to get content not available in your actual country. For example, if you're in the United States and you're on Netflix, maybe Iron Man 2 isn't available this month. Well, guess what? If you switch your VPN to Russia or England or Botswana, there's a good chance it's going to be available. It's a big internet, friends. I'm not sponsored by any of these, but in the information age, I'm hoping that you will be as well prepared as possible. So, UFOs. We promised UFOs. I was promised UFOs. You're getting UFOs. Now, UFO, unidentified flying object, in the recent United States government report, has called UFOs UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomena. So, I'm so happy they redefined the word when it comes to information they're not verifying in the first place, all right? So, my initial impression or gut reaction to the UFO report is bread and circuses. And many of you will know exactly what I'm referring to when I say bread and circuses. Bread and circuses refers to the government's means of keeping people from getting too angry about things. Give them bread so they have enough to eat, because if they don't have enough to eat, they're going to flip out. Furthermore, give them circuses. Give them distraction. Give them diversion. Give them something shiny to look at. Give them something to talk about when they're not working. A whole subculture that may develop instead of focusing on what your government might be trying to do to you, what individuals may be able to pull off by saying, don't look at that, look at this. Don't look at that, look at this. So here's a little philosophy rant. As I grow older, I think I've become kind of a hippie philosopher. You know, I got my beaded curtains, I got my incense. I'm very skeptical of big business, skeptical of big government and big news outlets and big technology. I tend to think natural things are better than artificial things. And I tend to think that there should be a balance of power in nature for things to be sustainable, which specifically in this case means individuals should be empowered. We should have distributed authority. I would not say that I'm religious, but I think I understand why others are, and I don't think everything can be explained through reason. I'm a musician. Music is a mystical art form, which means that you can't explain how it does what it does. So from a metaphysics point of view, I think you have to recognize the fact that there are mystical, unexplainable things. The alternative is to believe or suspect that you can explain everything. I'm very skeptical of people that seem to have every answer. I think everybody should not believe everything you're told, and always think for yourself. So change in UFO policy, change in anything at all is inevitable. So I'm in favor of change. Many think change comes too quickly, and many think change comes too slowly. And that's largely, I think, a sociological phenomenon that we run into here. I see humankind as a history of progress compared to 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. It's a history of progress, maybe brought about by aliens. So I would like to introduce, this is a bit off subject from just aliens, but I would like to discuss rhetoric, which, of course, I would say falls under logic and reason. But we find ourselves debating and discussing things in person or more commonly online. something that is usually missing is a sense of humility, and that's why I'm rolling this phrase out to you, gentle listener. I'm rolling this phrase out to you. Are you ready? When in discussions, try using this phrase. I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time or the last. Think of how disarming that is. Because more likely than not, if you're in something which has the potential to grow very heated, more likely than not, whoever you're discussing things with is maybe very, very unlikely to say something as simple and as ordinary as that. I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time or the last. Think of what humility comes with that sort of thing. In an age where everybody claims to be absolutely right, I'm absolutely certain I won't think about alternatives. I already know everything I need to know. That sort of mindset, I really, really think that's to be avoided. So once more, I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time or the last. Furthermore, ask if the other person you're talking to, ask if they can also say that from time to time they too have been wrong. Introduce a little bit of humility. I think it can help. So, I've written a philosophy haiku for UFOs. Okay, here we go. Are there aliens? Uncle Sam said, possibly. What's a man to do? So, as I said before, I'm getting a big nothing burger from this UFO report. I will believe it when I see it. When Ronald Reagan's head in a jar comes out of a UFO, and that's when I'll start to get interested. Until then, I'm going to chalk this up as circuses. I'm going to chalk this up as surfaces until I see something more. But here's an interesting question for you, gentle listener. What if a UFO, an alien, did land and you were able to communicate? What would you say to the alien if they asked you what human beings are like? An alien from another world comes and visits you personally. And by chance and fate, you have the unique position of characterizing what humankind is like. I have a theory that what you think of humankind, of human beings, your broadest, most general impression of what are people like, your broadest impression of humankind in general may well be a reflection of what you think about yourself. What you think about humankind may be a reflection of what you think about yourself. Are people good? Are people bad? People have good days and bad days. So I encourage you to think positively of your fellow human being for that very reason, for your health. Because I think in some subconscious level, all of us, project onto the world what we make of ourselves. And in some sense, it's axiomatic. You almost have to do that way. So think kindly of your fellow human being. Yeah, we got some stinkers out there, but try to think kindly of your fellow Homo sapien. That's my team. I'm pulling for you. Of all the species, you're my favorite. And let's see. Let's go off on a little existential rant. Consider for a moment that each of us have our own unique and temporal and spatial universes. I have mine. You have yours. That guy that sold you the Happy Meal, or